Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Mr. J's Geek Corner, place where we talk about everything that is geek, be it movies, comics, TV, or video games. And this week, I just wanted to discuss something that probably would fan a lot of flames in the fan community and probably get a lot of people riled up, and that is the subject of characters that I believe, in my mind, to be kind of overrated or overdone and just basically just gets way too much attention and should probably stand aside and let other characters have the spotlight for a while. So for some time now, I've noticed that there are certain characters out there that are basically, I'm gonna say, done to death. I mean, every time you see like a piece of merchandise or a comic series, or I mean, they have their own comic series, no doubt about it. Like I said, but every time they bring up a certain character of that brand, it's always the one that gets more attention than the others. I mean, I said there are certain ones I wish they would just stop doing for a while and let somebody else have the spotlight. I mean, and I've compiled a little bit of a list of both brands that I think have gotten way too over promoted. They say they're popular, but I think they're way too overdone by that certain brand, too overblown, and I think they should just back off on them for a while. Some they have already, but still they talk about how great they are. And they just seem kind of overrated. And I'm gonna read over a few that's on the list. And to start off with, I'm gonna start off with Marvel Comics. And number five on that list to me is XMen. I mean, for years and years there in Marvel, you couldn't even hear the name Marvel Comics without seeing them come up with like a passel of X-Men books. I mean, for a while there, Marvel Comics was nothing but X-Men. I mean, I think they had up to 9 books. And why does any character need that many? I mean, some can say that about when Superman at one time had like maybe 5, but I don't know how many. I'm probably overestimating here how many X-Men had, but I think they had I think they had between 6 or 9 books at one time. And do you really need that many? Honestly, I mean, to me, this is just my opinion, but X-Men is boring. I mean, X-Men, they're one of them characters. I mean, the movies are great. I ain't picking on the X-Men movies. They're awesome. They do a great job with them. I'm sure there was something wrong with 3 here and there, but they seem to make like some of those boring characters. They managed to make some of the most exciting movies with them. I said X-Men's one of them. I mean, and that leaves the question: how can you do something so exciting in a movie? Take characters like X-Men, make them so exciting, make them so cool in the movies, but in the comics they just seem like blah. I mean, there ain't nothing exciting about them, really. I mean, to me, probably the best character to come out of X-Men is probably Gladiator of the Shi'ar Imperial Guard, and to me, because he's essentially Marvel Comics version of Superman. And I think he's awesome. And he's actually almost stronger than Superman in some ways. But to me, he's the best character to have come out of the X-Men universe. But otherwise, I ain't really seen a character that's really piqued my excitement in that universe. And I think that they're giving way too much credit for what they are, and for what they really deserve. It just ain't exciting. I mean, some folks might find. I mean, there's some that reads minds. There's some that shoot beams out of their eyes. But then there's some that just nothing but fur-bearing mammals, or turn into fish, or something like that. To me, that's exciting. At the same time, why in the world you take that and turn it into such boring storytelling? I mean, it's just dull. And the fact that you try to make a political statement about it, yawn. I mean, it's a comic book. Quit trying to make political statements with it. It's just a comic book, people, and a quite boring one at that. So I think that's why I think X-Men is kind of boring. And moving along, number 4 on the list to me is another one for years I always thought boring. The Fantastic Four. I mean, there's another one that you can make great movies out of. I mean, look at the other two. Look at Fantastic Four and then Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. Those were great. Those were great movies and funny. I mean, it had all the best in it. You had comedy and action and drama. I mean, that's the best things you can have in a movie to make a great movie. I mean, it was, I said, they were great, but it's just the comics are so. I mean, I probably draw a lot of flack from fans, but it's just dull. The comics are just dull. I mean, and now they got more than just. Man, it's just more than Fantastic Four. You got basically, you might as well call counting the Richards kids Fantastic Six. I mean, really? And with this whole thing that happened in Marvel Comics, Johnny Storm went to hell and all that. How did he get back? I mean, with this whole Marvel Now thing, how did he get back? They never really explained that, dude. Like I said, the storytelling is just dull. Probably to me, there ain't been a good Fantastic Four story in the comics since Galactus came to Earth. And I think Galactus came to Earth. And that, to me, after that, it's just for 40, 50 years, he ain't told no good stories in Fantastic Four. It's just dull. It's a dull group of, I mean, guy that stretches, somebody turns invisible, somebody that catches on fire, and then somebody that's nothing but a pile of rocks. I mean, Stan Lee at the time came up with a good idea, but to me, it's just dull. It's just dull. And I think they're way too over promoted. And leading it, and speaking of Fantastic Four, it leads into my next one on the list. I guess say number 3 on the list. That's their main arch foe, Doctor Doom. And I know there's a lot of folks ain't gonna like me for saying this, but Doom, once again, boring. I mean, how is he so dangerous other than being the ruler of a country? I mean, he made diplomatic, had to do with. How else is he dangerous? Essentially, Iron Man in a hood and cape. That's all I've ever seen. He looks like he's Iron Man in a hood and a cape. How's that dangerous? I mean, unless he, I know I've heard somebody has he knows sorcery and stuff like that. So does Doctor Strange. And he's a little bit more exciting character than he is. I mean, I really ain't seen how Doctor Doom's all that dangerous. I mean, Hulk probably, if they put him against the Hulk, he wouldn't stand a chance. And all he is just a snickering, defaced man behind a mask. I mean, the last one I saw like that was Darth Vader in the Star Wars universe, and Vader was a whole lot more dangerous than he was because the fact he had powers. And to me, Doom is nothing but a human being in a bitter human being in a suit of armor that rules over a country. And to me, that's a little bit overdone. And I think, I think he just ain't worth the hype to me. And I just don't think he's worth the hype. And I guess you could say there is no second place on my list, so because number 1 is a tie between two characters. And the first one that tied for number 1 on my list is, and I know I'm probably going to get a lot of flack from this too, Wolverine. I mean, here's another one who's not, to me, in the movies, he's exciting. Just like the X-Men, the other X-Men. But he's not, he's exciting in the movies, but in the comics, he's just dull. All he is just a man who can heal himself, has lived 150 years, and almost 2 centuries, has claws, and what else does he have? He's I mean, look at this character. I mean, they're trying to make him look like Batman. To me, in the Marvel universe, trying to make him like their version of Batman. But to me, all I see is a man who has lived 150 years, has claws, and has a drinking and smoking problem. Smokes like a freight train and drinks. I can't really see a hero in there anymore. I mean, They portray him as more of a hero, fence straddler, whatever. I just don't see the appeal there. I really don't see the appeal in the comics. I mean, just everybody talk about and for a while all they could say Wolverine. He's not, to me. I mean, there's plenty of other bad to the bone characters in the comics, but to me he ain't one of them. To me, he's another blah. I mean, there are characters that are stronger than he is. I mean, sure, he could be healed from it, but the last time I saw him try to go up against somebody was in the Ultimates universe when he went against the Hulk, and the Hulk ripped him in two. I mean, really. I said there's many badder characters out there than Wolverine. I'm going to say even Batman could probably beat him if they truly went against each other. He could probably Batman could probably beat him on his best day or on his worst day. And I'm not talking about Wolverine, of course. I'm talking about Batman's best or worst day. He could beat him with his eyes closed, probably. That's just me now. But like I said, I just don't think Wolverine also is worth the hype. Like I said, all he is just kitty, stabby, has an anger management problem. That's not excitement to me. I mean, Hulk, you could say he has anger management problem, but at least he turns into a huge hulking monster and can collapse a building. What does Wolverine do? Just cut into it for a few inches and then quit, and then he can't do nothing and he gets his claws stuck. Seriously. And I just don't think he's worth the hype. The other one that's number one on my list amongst Marvel characters is SpiderMan. I mean, I used to like Spider-Man when I was a kid. I used to be nutty about Spider-Man, about like most kids are. I used to be like real crazy about Spider-Man. I look back on that, I was like, what's the hype? You're looking at a guy who can barely lift a Volkswagen. He even says it on the cartoon series. He used to have trouble lifting a Volkswagen before he got an alien costume. And I see, he barely lift a Volkswagen lift up a Volkswagen. He could just crawl on walls. He's super flexible. But what else can he do? I mean, in the comics, more in modern age, I mean, more lately, they've given him other abilities, like he could make his own weapon, and he has these stingers that come out in his hands, and he's had suits of armor and stuff like that, but what's the big deal? Still, what's the big deal? I mean, he's just your average Joe superpowers. I can see the appeal behind that, but I'm sorry, but it's just I don't see it. I mean, amongst kids, that's like one of the most pushed superheroes. When I was a kid, it was Superman, but now it's Spider-Man. I was like, I still don't see the appeal behind that. I mean, a man that could just crawl on walls, but could basically be snapped in two by a stronger villain. So, like I said, I just don't see the appeal behind that. And I just think he's too overrated. And I said there's plenty of other Marvel characters that they could use without using Spider-Man to death. I mean, there's Captain America, there's Iron Man, Thor, Hulk. Why Spider-Man all the time? I don't know. I just think he's overrated. I mean, I liked him. The only time I ever liked Spider-Man is in the black costume. And without that, to me, he's just blah, dull. Just an average, just a guy who could be broke in half. So, yeah. And moving right along, and I know I'm just picking on Marvel. I'm picking on DC too. There's plenty of DC characters that are overrated, and I've only narrowed the list down. And since this show's only, I can't. Show's only just so long. I can only do about 5. I've narrowed my list to 5. And start off my DC list, number 5 is, I know there's going to be a lot of folks out there that be mad at me over this, Harley Quinn. I mean, I can understand the appeal back in the day. I mean, that was pretty revolutionary to give Joker a sidekick. I mean, Joker, all the years I knew him, all the years I know the Joker, heard of the Joker from the comics and the TV show, I never known him to have a sidekick. And to give him a girl sidekick done just about like him, that was pretty neat and everything. But DC didn't want, just like they've done other characters, took it and run with it. And I know she's gained a lot of popularity over the years, but I just don't see why you need to put her in everything. I mean, so far, when they did the New 52, which I still don't like, one of the prime ones they stuck in there. You barely saw her in the other universe, though you still heard about her a lot. In New 52, she's right prominent, number one character in her own book, Suicide Squad. She's a member of the Suicide Squad, and with a lot more radical look, but still, they started putting her in everything. The Suicide Squad. She's even in Injustice as a playable character. Why? Of all characters, Harley Quinn. She's even in some of the old Batman games like Batman Vengeance. She's even in that. They put her in Batman Vengeance. They put her in Arkham Asylum. They put her in Arkham City. They put her in Suicide. In the comics, they put her in Suicide Squad. In the games, they put her in Injustice. Like I said, why you need that much Harley Quinn? She's popular, but it's overkill to me. I don't have nothing wrong with Harley Quinn. I just think she's too overdone. And I think they just need to, and I think they can back on, and they need to back off on that. And while I'm on the subject of Batman villainesses, number 4 on my list is none other than, and I'll probably get a lot of flack for this, but my wife even agrees with me on this, Catwoman. There are plenty of other villainesses in the DC universe, and Batman's Rose Gallery, Poison Ivy being one of them, my wife's favorite. To keep doing Catwoman to death. She was great. They did a great portrayal of her, almost true to form portrayal of her from the early days of Batman comics in Dark Knight Rises. But in the comics, it's overkill. Just basically over and over again, over and over and over and over and over again. Even the point she's got her own book, and you don't even know, is she still a jewel thief? Is she a hero? Is she a fence straddler? You don't know. You don't know anymore because they do her to death. You don't even know what the thing. And in the New 52, I said once again, you don't even know what she is in the New 52. Is she still a criminal? Is she a hero? You don't know what she is anymore. And like I said, there's plenty of other Batman film fatalities that could be done without doing Catwoman again. Really. And like I said, I just think they just need to back her off and just use somebody maybe like Poison Ivy and give her another chance. In the movies and they kind of messed her up in New 52, but I'll get into that another day. But like I said, I just think they need to ease up on the Catwoman train a little bit. And while I'm on the subject of Batman again, I'm really probably going to get some flack for this next selection on my list. Number 3 being Batman himself. I like Batman. He's one of my favorites, but second only to Superman. He's my favorite. He's probably my second favorite. But he's just about like Spider-Man in terms of superheroes. When you see the brands putting out superheroes, gearing them towards kids, the most of the ones I've seen is either on Marvel side, Spider-Man, and on DC side, when I was a kid, it was Superman. Now it's Batman. Why? I said, to me, why in the world would you promote your most human superheroes? Almost your most powerless superheroes. Batman, sure, he has the fighting skills, the genius, the gadgets, the means to fight crime as an ordinary human being. But why do it to death? Why do you need that much Batman overload? You can actually go to the stores now and still see leftover Batman stuff from the movie that came out last year, and they just trying to get it out the stores now, but they ain't even got it out yet. They need, like I said, in the comic, and that's another one I was talking about earlier, comics that got so many characters that got so many titles. You look at Batman, he's got Detective Comics, Batman Inc., Batman Dark Knight, Batman Robin, and I said he's got so many other titles like Batman. They got a Batman Beyond. They've got Legends of the Dark Knight title. They've got the Batman family titles like Nightwing, Batwoman, Batgirl, all them ones. He's got like maybe even Catwoman. So really, in reality, and even Birds of Prey to an extent, I guess, is connected to Batman. And of course, if you count them all up, all the Batman connected titles, you have 12 Batman titles in all. Do you really need that? And man, to me, that harkens back to X-Men. Do you really need that many books? I mean, Superman has never had that many. And I've heard lately they're going to bring back Batman Superman. They're going to have another. I thought they were going to start another Batman book for them along. Like I said, they're Batman and everything to death. I mean, I like Batman, but there's such a thing as there's such a thing as overkill. And they just need to tone it down a bit. I mean, I like Batman, but not that much. Not so much you want everything to be Batman. And like I said, I just think they need to tone it down. And then finally, number one on my list, and once again, it's a tie between two characters that probably draw a lot of disagreement from folks. The first of my number ones is the ones tied number one would be once again, I've probably said it before, Lex Luthor. I mean, I don't need to say it too many times. Lex is overdone. Movies, comics, cartoons, video games, done to death. I don't know why in the world, whenever everybody thinks Superman, they think Lex Luthor has got to be the villain that he's got to fight. No, he ain't. He's just the sinister bald guy with the green rock. Seriously? Done to death for 70-something years. Done to death. I mean, just recently I bought the Superman serials from the 40s, and one of the villain in the second one is Lex Luthor. Before he was Lex, he was Luthor. He's still Lex Luthor though. I mean, like I said, it's just done to death. I mean, I even heard recently they're going to put Lex Luthor in Man of Steel somehow. Why? They feel like they need to have him in there somehow. I mean, really. I don't know why it's an impulse when it's Superman. You got to have him in there somehow. If you got to have him in there going toe-to-toe with him in an armor suit, that's fine. But just him standing there with a little green rock going he. Enough. Don't even bother trying to have him in the movie. And I think they should back on. I mean, they've even got him in Injustice. Why? You think with the Superman regime that's in that game, you think Superman would have took him out. He didn't for some reason. And for some reason they still got him in it. And I just wish they would try another villain other than Lex. I'm glad that Man of Steel is not going to have him in it as the main protagonist, but they still should not go with him in it. Because, like I said, they just need to lax off on Lex. They need to just not have him in so many comics. And that's the only thing I admire about the New 52. You ain't seen him that much. You ain't seen him that much. I mean, you just see him get arrested, and then the next time you see him, he's in jail. That's about it. And I said, they just need to just relax on Lex a little bit. And I said they just, because he's way too overdone. And lastly, my other number one is, I've mentioned it about a bazillion times before, the Joker. I mean, everybody thinks he's Batman's greatest foe. No, he's not. I mean, you talk about overdone. He's more overdone than Lex Luthor. I mean, I can't even count on one hand. I mean, Lex Luthor in the Superman series, in the Superman animated series, made appearances in a lot of them because he's the main businessman in Metropolis. I mean, he was done a lot over the course of like maybe 1, 2, 3 animated series that's based in the Superman Batman universe. In this animated series, The Batman, over 5 seasons of one TV show, I can't even begin to count how many episodes was devoted to the Joker. I mean, Why do you need every other episode of your show to have the Joker in it? Why? I mean, they don't need that much Joker. I mean, like I said, you look at back in the days, the old Batman anime series. I mean, that Joker was a version of Joker enjoyable because it was Mark Hamill doing the voice. But even then, why do you need that much Joker in one series? Why do you need every other episode to be Joker, 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 Joker? Why? You just don't. I mean, the 3 seasons of a show, I probably couldn't about count on both hands twice how many times Joker's in that show. And the Batman, I can't even begin to count how many times they ever had him on that show. I was like, and on that show, he was done to death, except for maybe one episode that I enjoyed. But I just couldn't stand it. There's just too much. It was just too much. And like I said, and then there was the Dark Knight, where they went overboard with that. Even though Heath Ledger did a great job, too much hype, too much Joker-oriented stuff. I mean, it's bad when you can't even go to the local store and local clothing store and can't even find a Batman shirt because all you ever run into is Joker. I mean, you can't. I mean, that's bad when your villain overshadows your hero in a movie. I mean, Bane didn't even do that in Dark Knight Rises. But it's bad when you got a Batman movie and it's like you think it's the Joker movie featuring Batman. Seriously. I mean, and then the fact that they got the Joker and then every time they come out with a DC video game, there's the Joker. I mean, even in Injustice, Joker is the main. You might as well say is before the actual game starts. Joker's the main protagonist. He's the one who causes Superman so much misery. He is the one that causes Superman to go over to the dark side. I mean, and I know spoiler alert, but I'm sure a lot of you have already read it by now. Joker kills his best friend, drugs him to the point where he causes him to kill his own wife and unborn son, then sets off a nuclear bomb in Metropolis and kills everybody that he protects. And even in the end, he still taunts and nags and picks at Superman to the point that Superman puts his fist through him. I mean, that should have been done to the Joker in the first place. And then I read in a recent issue, he basically blamed Batman for letting Joker run free all those years and didn't do anything about it. And that's the thing. They let the Joker, I said, too much Joker. And like I said, that goes back to my point. Too much Joker. I mean, one of the big focus points in the recent Batman story was the death of the family was that the Joker made it look like he killed everybody. But he didn't. He was pushing Batman's buttons to see if he could push him to the dark side. And like I said, he may be a cerebral villain or anything, but he's just too overdone. Enough, and I can say enough. And to my final thought on that is enough with the Joker. Enough. It's just. I mean, Batman has plenty enough villains without trying to bring Joker and everything. I mean, why don't you have Ra's al Ghul do it? I mean, that would be interesting. But it's just too much Joker. Yeah. That's my thoughts on that. So, what are your thoughts on it? Do y'all agree, or are there any villains that you think have too much, any character, not just villains, but comic book characters, period, that are too overly hyped that don't match the hype that are given to them by the companies? Or I said, whether it be heroes or villains, do you think there's so many that are overly hyped and overused and should make way for other characters? Leave a comment in the comment box. I would love to hear your comments on it. I'd love to hear if you agree, or can you think of one? Or I would love to hear your comments. So just leave them in the comment box. So just leave them in the comment box. I would love to hear them. And I guess that's all for this week's edition of Mr. J's Geek Corner. That's it. And as always, if you ever have something to say about the show, leave your comment in the comment box. You have any ideas for the show, anything you would love to hear me talk about, I'm always open to ideas. Leave them in the comment box also. I'm always looking for new topics for the show and would love to hear your ideas. And so just leave your comment, leave your idea there, and I say I'm always open to ideas. And I'll see. And as a preview of next time, I'm gonna talk about things I find. Part 3 of things I find wrong with the New 52. And I said that's all I'm gonna say about that. And until then, I'll see you next time.